Hey guys, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com. I'm so excited to share this with you. We have a Black Friday promotion and it really comes out of my own need. Black Friday, so today through Cyber Monday, November 29th, I'm offering the big tutorial bundle at a deep discount. It's over 60% off. The big tutorial bundle is something that's actually just saved me, saved my bacon this month. It was funny because I was listening to my business coach and he was doing a presentation about Black Friday and how our stamping businesses should have offering for Black Friday and what that offering might be. And as I was doing that, I was doing my thank you cards for November. And frankly, I overextended myself in November. I like to send a thank you card with every class packet I send out. I had 4 different class packets in the month of November. And I didn't want to send anybody who ordered the same class packets the same thank you card. So, and then I also send a thank you card when anybody orders Stampin Up products through MarisaAlvarez.stampinup.net. So I send 1 thank you card a month if you order from Stampin' Up. And I don't want that to be the same thank you card as the ones that are in my packets. So I overextended myself in November and I'm like, what am I going to do to make all these unique thank you card designs? And that's when I remembered my $4.95 tutorials. I have $4.95 card tutorials in Kitchen Table Stamper store. So kitchentablestamper.com/shop. And they're $4.99 tutorials. They're a 3-card tutorial bundle. And I went to those bundles and said, those are going to be my thank you cards. And I used those bundles to make 5 additional designs this month, in addition to 4 card classes, all the blog posts that I do in between, Facebook Lives, mystery cards. I said, this is going to save my bacon. These are awesome, awesome tutorials, and I'm going to use them. And as I was doing that, pulling my own buns out of the fire, using my own tools, I was listening to a training about Black Friday, and that's where the idea for this came from. So I call this the Big Tutorial Bundle. Inspirations at your fingertips, 39 crafty ideas to get you stamping now and build your confidence. This is the bundle. It's a 79-page tutorial bundle with 39 different cards. Let me show you. This is the card we're going to make today. It's one of my actual thank you cards from this month. It might look familiar to you if you're a Kitchen Table Stamper customer. And this is the card in the bundle. All right. So this is the tutorial bundle. A peek inside. They'll have full color photos, measurements, instructions. And this is the card that we're going to make using this tutorial. So we're going to actually just use this tutorial and we're going to make this card just updated. So I've chosen this card. And I also chose my Nature's Harvest bundle. So when you use the tutorials, you'll choose bundle. What do you want to work with? And then I also knew I wanted to work with the Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper. So when you're using the big tutorial bundle, maybe to save your bacon or maybe just to help you stop procrastinating and make that card now, whatever it is that it's going to help you do, if it's going to help grow your creativity, if it's going to give you an idea, kickstart, or just stop procrastination. Pick your bundle, pick your designer series paper, and pick your tutorial. Now, the tutorial calls for a pear pizzazz card base, so we're going to just substitute that out for crumb cake. And some, you'll see the designer series paper pieces. The designer series paper are 3.5 by 1, 3.25 by 1, and I'm going to use a piece of cardstock for my 3rd piece, and this is 3 by 1. All right, so we're that far now. And then the next thing I want to do is decide on my background. I've got a background that was embossed in that tutorial, so let's emboss. I'm going to use my macrame folder. I love the macrame folder. I thought it was perfect with cone flowers. Let's go ahead and give it a try. So all we're doing is making substitutions from the original tutorial, but using all the same elements. So now we're going to emboss just like our sample, but instead of embossing my card base, I'm going to use my macrame folder to emboss a layer that's 1/4 inch smaller than the card base. So this is 4 by 5.25. I'm going to pop it in my macrame folder and give it a crank. Wait till you see how gorgeous this texture is. It's really a fantastic folder. We used woodland in the original, But with our cone flowers, this is going to be gorgeous. And look at all the deep detail. Isn't that great? Now, let's go ahead and put these 2 layers together. I'm going to use some liquid glue. Then we're going to get back on our tutorial and take a look at what's next. All right, after we've embossed, we're going to adhere the designer series paper. So let's go ahead and do that. The one little thing I wanted to do, I want to teach you a fun little technique in this card too. So we are just casing a tutorial, but that doesn't mean I can't teach you something fun and new. Look at this gorgeous soft suede, custom made designer series paper. Let's do that. We're going to take a little sidetrack from our tutorial here and do a fun technique. So for this technique, I have soft suede cardstock, soft suede ink, a sponge that we can use for our soft suede, and the Stampin' Up chalk marker. I love this little white pen. I'm going to lay out some small grid paper here. I'm going to take my stamp. This is from Nature's Harvest. And I'm going to ink up soft suede and stamp random flowers on soft suede. So we're going to get kind of a tone on tone. And as we turn the stamp and fill the space, we're building a texture, a pattern, more than stamping an image. You just fill in all the spaces. And then we're going to take our sponge and ink the edges. And give it kind of a warm glow. You can add more when you ink edges, but you can't take it off. So go slow. And another little trick here. This card, we're layering our designer series papers. So you don't need to ink the top edge. Save yourself the effort. Just do 3 out of the 4 sides. All right, so we've got a little warm glow. We've got our tone on tone stamping. Now what we need is that fun little speckle. We're going to take our chalk marker, and this is how I like to do this. It helps me to get balance. I'm going to start kind of off the center here and do a little 3, and then a 2, and then a 3, and then 1 off the edge, and I'm just dotting. Do you see? 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and they're little kind of groups of 1, 2, or 3. And then we can go not quite to the top because we're gonna cover the edge. It's gonna go under the other paper. And I just did little chalk dots in between the stamped flowers. Isn't that cool? We just made our own designer series paper. Now we're gonna adhere, back to the tutorial. It says adhere the designer series paper to the card as shown. So let's do that. I'm gonna start with our handmade, our own custom designer series paper, liquid glue, and it's about, I don't know, 1/2 inch from the bottom, maybe 1/4 or 3/8 from our bonus panel. And then our bumblebee paper right over that. And then our soft succulent paper. Now the soft succulent has a text, so I need to take a little inspection to make sure I put my text right side up. There we go. And you notice that I'm just overlapping them just like the tutorial pictures. Gorgeous. All right, then next up is our focal treatment. It's in our tutorial, it's a little hedgehog. There's a hedgehog coming, so you can copy this one almost exactly if you get the bundle. But I wanted to use a new product. I had not used this coneflower die yet, and it was one of the reasons why I bought the Harvest dies. So I'm swapping out the hedgehog for a coneflower, 2 actually, and I'm going to swap out the circle for the little label that comes in the same die set. So we're just making swaps as we go and using the tutorial. Let's get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in here and our gorgeous coneflower from the Harvest dies. We're gonna cut this one 3 times for each flower, but the results are so gorgeous. So we got our soft succulent cardstock, and our soft suede cardstock. And we're gonna line up this die so that the stem is on the soft succulent and the center of the flower is on the soft suede. Give it a crank. This is where you're gonna throw a scrap of crumb cake on also, and the label die that comes from the same set, and you're gonna crank that one at the same time. So you'll have one pass for your green and your brown layers of your cone flower. And then you'll have a second pass now for the bumblebee layers. So let's just pop this little guy aside, throw the scraps away, remove the center of the flower, bumblebee scrap, bumblebee scrap. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I think that way is going to be just for the top of our flower. We need all of the petals and enough space at the top there to glue on our flower center. Give that one a crank. I adore this die and I adore this cone flower. Let me show you our one. So I've already got one that's entirely assembled. Let me show you how I did that. I've got my paper snips. We're gonna leave this soft succulent alone entirely for a second, but we're gonna come on the soft suede piece over here and we're going to cut off the flower center. I thought it looked like a little chocolate gumdrop. My daughter begged to differ. On the bumblebee piece, we're going to just cut off the stem. So there's our three pieces as we need them to make our flower. Got some soft succulent ink. I've got bumblebee and some soft suede. Got a sponge dauber, and I'm going to pick up some ink on the dauber and go around my flower petals, just adding some depth to the edges and then swiping lightly over the petals because the die makes a little embossed detail, and we're gonna just very gently run a little ink over to pick some of that detail up. Then we're gonna do with sponge dauber the same thing for our stem and leaves. This here is a glue tab to help you assemble your flower. There's no need to ink anything here, just hold on to it, use it like a handle, but don't cut it off because that's where you're gonna glue the bumblebee layer to the soft succulent layer. We're going to just kind of gently get in there with the dauber. You can add more ink, you can't take it off. Same thing with the sponge for the designer series paper label. And we want to get in all around these leaves and maybe drag just a little bit over the top because there's an embossed detail in the leaf that we can pick a little bit of ink. Such a beautiful die set. My goodness. And perfectly seasonal. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. This, as I'm recording this, is actually Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And this card I think is so appropriate to get a really nice fall card presented on this day after so much Christmas too. It's been gangbusters and Christmas at Kitchen Table Stamper. All right, so we've got a beautifully inked stem. It adds a lot of detail to the card. Now we're going to do a very similar inking technique with the center of our flower. So there's a little dot that's embossed when you run this die through, and that gives a kind of a texture to the bottom of the flower center. We're going to run some ink all around, and then we're going to use our chalk marker again, and we're going to dot in kind of over and around where the die embossed a texture for us. So we'll have a visual texture with the white chalk pen, and we'll have a tactile texture with the little embossed dot that's on the coneflower center. All right, let's slide away the ink pads, except for soft suede, because we're gonna stamp our greeting really quick. Less ink pads out means less chance of me putting my project in an ink pad. Got our little label. This is crumb cake. and we cut it with the same one, the same die set. It's a little label from Harvest Dies. We're going to use Nature's Harvest. The greeting is thank you, and we're going to stamp that right on the label using soft suede ink. Please don't be uphill. Please don't be uphill. Ah, looks good. Hooray! Okay, now let's assemble the flower. Let me show you how I did that. This little green fringe right here is a glue tab, so go ahead and add liquid glue. And then piece your petals over, covering all the green. Got one little mini dimensional here. Put it right on the bumblebee at the top there. It's a glue tab again. Add your details over top. Soft suede center. And back to our card tutorial here. So the next thing on this card tutorial is look at this gorgeous little fringe behind the sentiment, and then there's a wooden embellishment, and I wanted to get some embellishments that worked well with the design I had here, but still kind of a throwback to the tutorial. So for my soft embellishments, I'm going to take some linen thread, I have what's left from a spool here, and I'm going to make a big loopy bow. And I've also got some of this diamond weave ribbon. I just have a little bit left after doing a lot of other projects with it. I thought a little strip of that would be really nice to kind of tie the macrame, bring the macrame forward. So let's go ahead and get some tear and tape and add our ribbon. I'm going to put a little strip where the succulent and bumblebee card or designer series papers come together. And I'll just adhere right in that tape and then cut off the excess. And I'm going to cut off the excess right along the designer series paper. Then I'm going to take that big loopy bow, just give it a little finesse, trim off a little bit of the tails. Big and loopy is one thing. And thank you. Let's put some mini dimensionals on the back of thank you. And the key here is if you do them kind of to the ends, then you can take mini glue dot. Use the tip of my scissors. You can use your take your pick tool here if you like. And I'm just going to fold that glue dot. It's on the tip of my scissors. Put it on the knot of my bow. And then I'm going to put my bow right on the back of my label. Okay, now we're going to turn that over and just check placement. I think it looks pretty good. Before we glue it down, let's bring our sample in here. We're going to add our flowers with some liquid glue. Just kind of stagger one up, one down. One high, a little bit of glue, and one a little bit lower. Bring the stems together pretty. Our thank you greeting. Isn't that beautiful? All right, one last little touch just to make it its very own card. The tutorial shows the little wooden embellishment, but for this one, we're going to bring in the champagne rhinestones. So with simple substitutions following the same measurements as our tutorial, we have made a gorgeous brand new creation. It's almost the same. We knew exactly where to jump in, exactly what measurements to use. We had decided before what paper, designer series paper and stamps and tools we would use. Add a big bling, a little bling, and there it is. So simple. Really did. The big tutorial bundle saved my bacon this month. I don't know that I'll ever do 5 or 4 card classes and thank you cards for tutorials in 1 month ever again. But I know now, after using the tutorial bundle, that I could do it. I hope that you enjoyed the card tutorial today. There's a clean video and a project sheet on the blog. If you just follow the links below, if you're on YouTube, to project details, you can get to this project with a printable project sheet. And there's also a link to the big tutorial bundle, regularly $64.35. 39 tutorials on sale during Black Friday through Cyber Monday for just $24.95. That's less than $1 a tutorial, and you are going to be inspired. You're going to have ideas to get crafty now, and as you use the tutorials like you just saw me, you will build confidence. I know you will. All right, you guys, have a great weekend, and reach out if there's anything I can do. If you've got questions about the card or the big tutorial, email marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. To shop Stampin' Up 24/7, you can go to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. And for the Kitchen Table Stamper store, where you'll find the big tutorial bundle, kitchentablestamper.com/shop. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.